So I wanted to briefly get us all agreed on what a PPM tool is. What do we mean by that? And it's a very simple concept. What we mean by that is putting all data associated with project and portfolios into a single source of truth database, an enterprise database, so that people can maintain data in one place, we can drive automated reporting, we can integrate with line of business systems. And this simple principle is often lacking in organizations. And if we talk about the reasons why one might need a PPM tool and checking, do we need one? Now, we all are PMO people by the looks of it. If there is a PMO, then most likely you need a PPM tool, because it's an indication that there is a significant project operation going on. You will have more than a handful of projects. You are possibly expecting to get ever more busy. And quite possibly you live in spreadsheet hell. As is often the case with most of our customers. Lots of disconnected content, people, and particularly PMOs, just glorified administrators, copying and pasting information and sending out PowerPoint decks and so on. That's what we want to get away from. And unless you implement a PPM tool, you are not giving yourself the opportunity to really add value. You're just glorified administrators. You need to make a step change so that the PMO can step up to really deliver strategic value to the organization. But are we ready for a tool? How do you know that you're ready? And I think a lot of people that I have talked to over the years believe that there needs to be a minimum maturity level in place. A lot of people will go and spend a year designing process frameworks and support those in the meantime with spreadsheets that they build. And I think there is a real opportunity to, first of all, make sure that you have clear ownership of the future tool alongside the process framework that is going to evolve, but grow maturity with the tool rather than spending a year building process and then implementing the tool afterwards, and meanwhile committing yourself and the team to spreadsheet hell. And Matt, where were you when you started thinking about PPM tools? Because everyone has process, everyone is already delivering projects as were you. Where were you in your journey?
When you describe spreadsheet hell, in many ways that would have been great to have been in spreadsheet hell, because actually we're probably a step behind that in many ways. So we had lots of people with lots of project data in loads of different places. At best, they were on somebody's OneDrive somewhere. At worst, there's somebody on somebody's desktop, probably in somebody's head as well. So to have been in a position where we'd got data on spreadsheets would have been fantastic. And just to bring to life just one example of why that was a problem for us, we are still developing in our maturity as a project organisation, although fundamentally what we do is research and development. We did have some fairly good governance, particularly around our scientific projects, but that governance involved quarterly meetings, and typically it took us 3 months to prepare for every quarterly meeting, because we're gathering all that data across those potentially 30 to 40 scientific projects. So it was a full-time job, probably for more than one person in reality. So just give a sense of where we were at and why we needed to bring all of that good stuff together, that good data together.
So we talk a little bit about that further down the road here, about the opportunity of PPM tool implementation as a journey. And as I said, the most important thing is for you to have a team, a department, a PMO in place that will own the tool, will own the process, but do consider evolving process and tool jointly. And you may not necessarily need a huge budget to implement a tool. Particularly modern cloud solutions are very affordable, are often very quick to deploy, and can make a real difference in a very small amount of time. But typically, you do want to spend some money and engage with specialist partners that will come and help you implement the tool and just help you apply best practice. Now, conversation that's particularly close to my heart as a tool vendor is one about how do you define requirements. And what often happens is, I've seen this so many times, we respond to requests for proposals, often in the public sector. Of course, there's very formal tender processes, and we are being sent a requirements, usually a spreadsheet, and there's like 500 line items on there, right? And what's happened is people have gone out to the various audiences, the various teams in the organization, and got everyone to contribute what they think they need from the PPM tool. And then in the end, they throw that over the fence to us poor tool vendors, who then have to respond to it all and make it happen. And often there's a whole load of detail in there in what people think they need, and is actually loaded up with just-in-case requirements. No one would ever dream of implementing what's being described here, certainly not on day one. It's people wanting to make sure that if ever they need a certain feature, the tool that we're about to acquire can do it. And that's not often then made clear to the vendor. And I've seen so many times, where we finally did win the engagement, started working with the customer, and the first thing the customer will say is, "Oh yeah, we're not doing that." It's literally, we're crossing out a whole bunch of things that are on this spreadsheet. And actually, in the meantime, as a vendor, I've had to load up my response to this with potentially a lot of cost and a lot of efforts to actually make happen what the customer has described as their requirement. And often in that, the customer will have designed the solution, the features. There's lines in there that says, must email the project manager when XYZ happens. Well, if my tool does not email the project manager when XYZ happens, maybe it does something else, some other way of notifying it, or in fact, that whole event doesn't happen in the way that we deliver whatever the customer needs. So don't try and design the feature. Instead, do describe where you're coming from, what you're trying to do, the nature of your project, some metrics, how many projects, what does your organization look like, how you work now, how you want to reorganize your business challenges, your goals and aspirations. That's the stuff that I want to know as a vendor, so that I can come and say to you, this is how I think we will be solving all of those challenges with the tool that we are going to propose to you.